welcome to Artsy. I'm your host, Bill Horin. Tonight we're going to feature some of Artsy's videos and films. One of the things I like about working with Artsy is I have such a great team, and our film team has won many awards, and a lot of the films we do are based in Millville or the surrounding area. So tonight's first film is going to be the history of the Levoy Theatre, which we did last year. It's one of my favorites, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
A theater is where illusions are confirmed, where fantasies come true, where the impossible is presented with a song. It's the imaginative hub of a community, an enchanted locale outside the usual trials and reservations. When gone, it leaves an emotional emptiness.
My first question was, why did someone build the Levoy? The answer was to fill a void that had been left for almost a decade by this fire. A lot of different type of community events were held there, a lot of performances, and then in the middle of the night, one evening, it burnt down. It was some backstage lights had caught fire on some curtains and costume pieces, and the whole place went up. So there was no theater for a decade. There was no cultural center in the town. Cut to 1908, and a gentleman by the name of William Summers, they called him Pop Summers, he came to Millville from the Atlantic City area, and he built the Levoy, which was much smaller back then. So the Levoy came about because of a problem that happened with an earlier patent of his. He built the roundabout, what we would imagine today as a Ferris wheel. This was built in Atlantic City. It was very, very popular, and a gentleman by the name of George Ferris, or one of his accomplices, saw it and brought the idea out to the Chicago World's Fair. And they built a much larger roundabout out there, and he called it his Ferris wheel. Mr. Summers found out about this, and he wasn't too happy, so he sued, and George Ferris lost the patent to the Ferris wheel, but he did not lose the name, because his was made out of metal and Summers was made out of wood. He left Atlantic City and decided to open a new amusement, a third, in Millville, and that was how he built the Levoy Theatre. It was a small combination dance hall and a small theater, probably about 150 seats. So at the time, they didn't really have films. They had some silent films, but you would have to have an orchestra there as well. So they had a lot of comedic vaudeville acts. Vaudeville was huge at the turn of the century. So Summers sold the theater to Warner Brothers. He thought it would be a great idea to sell to a company that was known for, making films and popularizing entertainment in communities like Millville and in big cities. As the popularity of TV caught on, as movie theaters became more widespread, especially in places like Camden, Warner Brothers gave up interest in the Levoy. Simon Cherevich took over. And he did everything he could. He brought in the Three Stooges. This was a really huge attraction for the theater. He also opened the theater to high schools. They did their shows here. They did their plays. Lots of different traveling acts came through, and of course they still did movies. You could see any type of movie here.
We loved Uncle Simon. We loved the theater. He gave us a place to be for 50 cents. You could own your own seat, popcorn, soda.
I grew up in Millville, and I was lucky because I had an aunt and uncle that lived on McNeil Street in Millville. So I would be able to walk from their house down to the Levoy with my 16 cents to buy my ticket on a Saturday to watch one of my favorite films.
There were a lot of things that you could do to win things. And Simon would come out and he would say, what I'm thinking of is something that you see every day on your way to school. You know, people are on street lights and park benches and people. It was a book. And you'd never guess it was a book because it was so vague. And so he got to keep his $5 or whatever it was he was offering. Simon Sherovich was an innovator, and he wasn't accepted at that time for what he wanted to do and for how much he saved this theater and kept it open when everybody else wanted it to close. We celebrated Christmas Eve at my house, and my brother was always sent with the task of bringing me to the theater. When we would leave the house, the tree would be up, but it would not be decorated. So we would come to the theater. Simon was open every Christmas Eve. When we got home, the tree was up, it was decorated, it was trimmed. There were 2 bicycles in the living room with lights on them, and it was all thanks to Uncle Simon. And those are the kind of things that you associate with walking to the theater on Saturday afternoons and walking with your friends. Hey, you going to the theater today? Yeah, we're going. Okay, we'll go together. You know, and it was a social thing.
They opened a movie theater in Vineland, and that was a really nice, comfortable theater, a little different than, an opera house type theater. So people sort of stopped going to the theater as much or going to see movies in a theater like this.
By 1974, the Levoy was showing its age. The seats sagged and the roof leaked. In July of that year, the theater closed, opening in November with 5-cent movie tickets that failed to cover expensive renovations or satisfy out-of-town investors. Right before Christmas, the final curtain dropped, and there it stayed for almost 20 years.
The Levoy Theater Preservation Society was founded in principle on Christmas Eve of 1992. We could come home from my mother's house, where Mom was a Millville girl, and she was talking about the amusement park up at the lake, the roller skating rink here in Millville, 2 movie houses, the YMCA, and all the things that children and people had to do in those days. So when we got home, Joe was motivated, and he says to me, Dad, what can we do to help Millville? And I said, well, Joe, the amount of work you want to do depends on what we can accomplish. And he says, well, I'd like to do the Levoy. I says, well, you didn't pick the easy one, that's for sure. I said, but, the Levoy is nothing but brick and mortar, and money will fix that. We went on to form the Levoy Theatre Preservation Society, which is a 501c3 corporation that needed a minimum of 3 people. Jeff Page was the 3rd founding member. People don't understand, this was a 100-year-old theater. They don't have them anymore. And that was the call. That brought us to 1998, when we actually finalized the incorporation and we bought the building.
And they did everything they could with respect to fundraising, and it looked like it was going right along and they were doing really well.
We raised money through grants. We had a downtown event. We had food people, we had acting people, we had stuff in front of the Levoy where people could go in and take tours. We did anything for a buck, anything to keep us moving in the right direction. We had an event at the high school, and it was an old-fashioned night where anybody could come out and do anything they wanted to do, sing, dance, variety show. And one of the things that was rumored is that I was going to give away a bunny during the intermission. And I was talking about Simon Sherovich and giving away live bunnies and how people were, a little disturbed about that at the time, especially when their child came home with a bunny that they had no idea of how to take care of. Prior to me walking in on stage, I argued with our team that I wanted to carry a live bunny out on the stage and be petting the bunny to talk about it the whole time, to set it up. But what we actually had was a stuffed bunny under the pedestal. So when it came time, I called the number and I pulled the bunny out, and everybody goes, whew, because we thought we were going to get a live bunny. So that was some of the things that we would do to try to revive and regenerate the workings of the theater. So Joe and his wife loved Union Lake. He volunteered as a Big Brother in the Big Brother organization. And this one particular Saturday, they were at the lake and they were out in the water, and the young man got in trouble. And rather than bothering anyone, Joey got out to him and saved his life. And in the process, he lost his own. To which I replied, the son of a gun died a hero too. I said, there was no end. There was no end to his love for Millville.
And so he was really the life behind that board. Even though they had a board, he was really the soul, the heart and soul of it. And so they continued along for 7 or 8 years, but they could never quite get the momentum going again, because it left the question open of, we want to open the Levoy, but why? The answer to that was a theater company, a resident theater company, and that was the Off Broad Street Players.
Around 2006 or 2007, my daughter Lauren was coming home from law school, and she was involved with the Off Broad Street Players in a performance. She observed at the time that the Off Broad Street was nomadic in nature. They performed in schools and church halls and wherever they could find space. She was trying to help them locate a building or a permanent place to operate from.
While we were performing, everyone said, this is so great, we wish we had our own theater. Somehow that comment made its way back to Jim Quinn's ears, and he approached my dad and myself and said, you should be doing these beautiful shows in a real theater, and why don't you renovate the Levoy and do them there?
To their credit, they stepped up and they did what needed to be done. And of course, they're both bright people, both attorneys, both caring about the city of Millville. I was just so pleased as to how they took the job on and have done a great job with it. They really have.
Our first thought was to look at the building and determine what exactly made this building unique and what exactly made this building special, not only in the city of Millville, but in the region. We saw the bones were solid, but we needed so much help. So we engaged professionals like Jason Livingston from New York City, who was a designer of theaters, and we also engaged R2A, architects, and we spent approximately a year and a half designing what we would do with a theater. We talked to sound designers, we talked to lighting designers, we talked to contractors, theater professionals, everyone in the business that had solid knowledge of big theaters was consulted. Our thought was, if we're going to do something on a grand scale, we need to make it work, and it has to be productive. It was a mess. Every single part of the building was deteriorating and crumbling, but on the other hand, it was as majestic a building as you have ever seen.
Oh, it was magical. It was magical. I mean, it was so dilapidated that it was like a haunted house, but that's like perfect for the theater world. So we brought in a core group of, 6 to 10 of our closest allies in what we thought would be, a fun project.
This is possibly the most difficult project I've been involved in. I've been involved in a lot of projects, but it was the most difficult in my life.
At the time that we were imagining the prospects of the building and the project, I don't think anyone could have imagined the amount of work that it would take and the obstacles that we would face.
The difficulty with this project was the immensity of it, the current political environment at the time we did the project, and the availability of resources. We were looking at a project of 22,000 square feet in the center of town that required millions of dollars of renovation. We really didn't know where we would find all of that money and all of that help, but we started a project and worked our way through it.
What goes up slowly sometimes comes down quickly. On January 3rd of 2011, a portion of the Levoy collapsed. However, the resolve behind the theater's reconstruction remained intact. The halt was but a temporary interruption.
Our contractor called us and said, "You better get down here, things are happening fast." So Lauren and I jumped in the car and drove down to the corner of High and Pine and saw what apparently was the collapse of the front third of the building. The same day that the collapse occurred, we had a meeting of all the contractors and architects and engineers, and we came down to the solution, and the solution was that we would solve the problem. We would build the building and we would sort out the difficulties. And to the credit of the contractors and the architects and engineers and everyone else involved, that's exactly what we did.
1/3 had fallen, but 2/3 remained. 5 months later, construction resumed. Time, that crumbler of buildings and nations and memory, would not prevail in Millville. A new front wall arose, recreating the look of the original facade. The Levoy Preservation Society had decided that the theater was going to return, and soon it did. Bigger and better.
I had written this play called Roundabout, based on the life of Mr. Summers. And the story goes that Lauren and I tried on some old costumes backstage at the theater, and it sent us back to the opening night of the theater when it was expanded in 1912. And so what we did in 2012 on our opening night was recreate the opening night, or what it would have looked like in 1912. And so we revitalized those 3 performances. There was a comedic act, sort of a silent comedic act, then there was a silent film that was accompanied by an opera singer, and then there was a magic show. And these 3 things were really, really awesome, and her and I, in character, got to watch these and then return to the present day and bring that idea back and rebuild this theater.
At that time, we had, I think, like 2.5 employees. So I was literally in the box office selling tickets and then ushering, to get people into the room, and then also doing the curtain speech. I mean, it was kind of like, you're just ping-ponging around. And I did get to do the curtain speech that day, and I kind of just peeked my head out of the curtain and said, "Welcome to the Levoy," and and everybody went wild because it was the first time that that had happened in 40 years.
One of my favorite experiences in the theater on a daily and weekly basis is observing a visitor walk into our main hall, tip their head up and say, "Oh my God." They had no idea what they were in for. They had no idea that this grandeur, the size of this building and the complexity and the beauty of it was even on High Street, let alone in Millville. The goal of any theater is to stay forward thinking, and we spend a lot of time and effort putting our resources back into the operation itself. As you know, we're a nonprofit, so no one profits here, but the value or the profit is to the community by improvement of our operations.
Technology, like in any industry, it's changing rapidly. For a nonprofit or any business, it's hard to keep up, but they are always looking to improve when they opened in 2012. So we did a big sound upgrade 2 years ago. We're currently looking at our lighting. Lighting has evolved. We have beautiful tungsten-type lamps that are known in theater. They have that romantic look, but things are going towards LED fixtures that are more energy efficient, more nimble, and with the colors you can generate on the fly.
We have thousands and thousands of dollars of lighting and sound and set pieces, and we have millions of dollars of preparation for talent.
I think for a theater in this area, one is just the beautiful inside and out this theater offers and the technology that we have, and 2, most is the diversity of programming. I mean, we'll have 3 show weekends where the first show is an alligator and an animal show crawling on stage. The next night there's a wall of Marshall stacks. Third night, circus acrobats. Just the variety of programming that this theater offers in this area, it's unmatched.
In my opinion, as a performer and as someone who's worked in theater, having some of these sort of really elevated elements that enhance productions that you don't find anywhere else. Show me another theater, within 60 miles that has an electric pit. There isn't one because we're the only ones that have it. The rigging, the amount of line sets that we could get for the rigging, and the amount of the technical elements certainly did matter. And it was having the experience on stage that allowed me to, understand what was going to make those performances, more elevated.
I honestly think it's exceeded my expectations, and I'm happy to say that. I've had people that are friends from all over South Jersey come and tell me how they love the Levoy. It's a beautiful place in the mezzanine and, having the Chamber of Commerce award ceremony there. It's really servicing the community very, very well.
When we came out of the pandemic, we had a year of closure that we had time to think and reorganize, and 2019 was our most successful year to date. So we had full steam ahead, train coming down the tracks, and then hit a brick wall with that closure. So gave us time to think, what were we doing right? What could we be doing better? And at that time, the board decided that we would reinvest and double down on our education programming. So when we reopened, we initially secured access to a building that's proximate right across the street from our loading dock and fitted out for studios, for lessons, for classes, for dancing, for rehearsals. And it gave us the opportunity to really start to cultivate a performing arts education center and programming. January 2022 was when we launched our first full year of operations in that building. We've tripled the amount of activities and the amount of participants. And I don't know that growth is done. The more that we continue to add and advertise, the more we see positive response from the community. More people want to be involved, and of all ages. We have classes that are for like mommy and me music classes for babies up to 36 months, but we have an incredible array of senior programming, drumming, which is cardiovascular, but also rhythmic and artistic, and we have radio plays. We have partnerships with the Veterans Home and other community organizations where we have, everybody reading from these scripts from the 50s and earlier, and they've been wildly popular.
So the role I'm playing is Ariel, just fun-loving, and she finds something that she wants and she goes for it, and she makes sure that she gets it, and she's just a great gal. I love her.
I'm John Ecker, and I play Prince Eric. The Little Mermaid is a just very good story. It's very empowering for a woman to take it into her own, to get her own legs.
The camps are one of the greatest outlets because they're not audition based. They're strictly open to anybody who wants to come and perform. They're 3 weeks long, so it's not like it's going to take up your whole summer. Gives everybody an opportunity to get the flavor of what it's like to be in a show, and they're 30-minute productions. So they get an introduction to acting and to singing and to choreography. They also get introduction to prop making, and they help with set design and scenic design, and some of the backstage elements go into it. And the feedback that we get is the kids just absolutely love it. They form friendships that carry over to the next year and the next year, and then, what show are you doing next? And are you going to do the fall show? Are you going to do the spring show? Are you going to do summer camp? So there's all these different options. You can have kids that walk in here shy and could barely get their mouth open to audition, and at the end of the show, they're, like jazz hands with the bright smile on their face. And ultimately, will they be a performer for a career? Probably not. But will they have maybe a little bit better success at whatever job they end up doing because they have now the confidence and they've been able to speak in public and had the experience of working as a team, in a collaborative artistic environment? Probably yes.
The heart and soul of the Levoy Broadway productions is Lauren and Sean Pedrick. They work on that programming, and they're so involved in that local community. Obviously, Lauren's a performer, so she knows that. Obviously, some of our board members, Jim Cook, is involved in a lot of that as well.
I'm very proud of the accomplishments of my family, my friends, and the supporters of this theater. The people that had the belief that we could do it, that believed in us and supported us, and then the fact that we actually did what we said we would do. We opened the theater, we created economic advantage for the city of Millville, and we've created an arts opportunity for thousands and thousands of citizens.
I always knew that the Levoy would be a success. I'm not saying that out of pride. These are facts that we know to be true. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We just gave Millville one of the wheels. We said, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to bring it back, and it's really about the people who were involved and the people who came before us and the people who will come after us.
My vision for the future of the Levoy Theatre is that we are celebrating our 200th anniversary. My vision is that the theater will maintain its prominence in the theater community, that it'll maintain its prominence in the city of Millville, and it'll continue to serve the community as it has.
The Levoy Theatre did not rise from the ashes of the Wilson Opera House, but from the insistence of Millville's residents to have a place where drama, music, and dance could flourish. For more than 100 years, each time the theater declined, the people brought it back. And now it is back stronger than ever, continuing a story that is itself a drama. When a play is performed at the Levoy, it is a play within a long-running play. When a song is sung from the theater stage, it sings in the heart of the city.
For decades, our dad has been a steady, trusted voice here at Mintz Insurance, helping neighbors, not just clients, protect what matters most.
As Dad steps into retirement, one thing stays the same: our commitment to this community.
We're proud to be independent, rooted right here in Millville. No call centers, no runaround, just real people ready to help, just like Dad always did.
Mintz Insurance, built on trust, proud of our past, and ready for what's next.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves at making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
It's New Life's 40th anniversary celebration. Join Pastor Helen and our guest speaker, Apostle Michael Pangio. It happens on March 22nd at 11 a.m.
Hi, welcome back to Artsy. I'm your host, Bill Horin. About 4 years ago, the Artsy team decided it'd be a really cool idea if we were to go into artist studios or homes and wherever and have them explain how they do some of their artwork, have them share some of their secrets and tips. And the first person we decided to do that with was a local photographer, a Millville photographer named Dave Woeller. So we created a series called AHA. And the AHA stood for Artist Helping Artist. So Dave has a technique he does painting with light that I find fascinating. So here's the video we did with Dave. Enjoy.
AHA Moment brought to you by Millville's Riverfront Renaissance Center for the Arts, providing a safe space for artists to express themselves. Visit rrcarts.com to learn more.
One of the things that I really like about doing still lifes is the fact that you just don't walk up onto them. You have to create them from scratch. Hello, my name is Dave Woeller. I'm a fine art photographer living and working in southern New Jersey. I've been doing still lifes for several years, as a matter of fact. I got involved with the light painting through a friend of mine. His name was Tom Holding. I worked with him on an artsy film documentary called Shattered, Portrait of a Glass Factory. And I watched him do his light painting work, and he was a master of it. Since that time, I've morphed my work into doing more light painting work, but I've modified his techniques to fit the type of photography and the techniques that I'm using now. Mostly my processing has changed a lot from what he used. In my process, I've been using multiple exposures. I believe in a lot of control. I like to have a lot of control over the light in my images. The light painting allows that, but by doing it with the process with separate individual exposures for each element of the still life, you get to control the light in each section of the still life. Once I have a still life set up, the actual process of shooting it involves multiple exposures, and these are all shot in the dark, and then we combine all of those shots and map them out and mask them in Photoshop, and then paint in the light exactly where we want it to the amount that we want it. This is where I get the total control that I'm really after. Well, one of the things that I really like to tell people about this particular process is you really don't have to have a lot of expensive equipment. In capturing these images, I use an O-light pen light flashlight. It's an LED light. They're not real expensive, and I also have various diffusers that I diffuse the light with. And in the demo, you'll be able to see how that's used. Do multiple exposures, put them all into your computer, and then choose the one that has the light exactly the way that you want it, and use that in your layers to mask out where that light will be. Don't be afraid to try anything, but be patient and take the time to really get things where you want them. Don't be afraid to go back and readjust layers. Some of the shots that I've done have 8, 10, 12 layers. And I'll walk away from that from time to time and come back and just get a fresh set of eyes on the image as it progresses. My name is Dave Woeller, and this has been your aha moment.
For decades, our dad has been a steady, trusted voice here at Mintz Insurance, helping neighbors, not just clients, protect what matters most.
As Dad steps into retirement, one thing stays the same: our commitment to this community.
We're proud to be independent, rooted right here in Millville. No call centers, no runaround, just real people ready to help, just like Dad always did.
Mintz Insurance, built on trust, proud of our past, and ready for what's next.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
It's New Life's 40th anniversary celebration. Join Pastor Helen and our guest speaker, Apostle Michael Pangio. It happens on March 22nd at 11 a.m.
Hi, welcome back to Artsy. I'm your host, Bill Horin. About 20 years ago, probably longer, we were publishing a magazine, and we heard of these two people, Jeffrey Taranti and Kevin Kirshner, who had decided to rebuild the Palace of Depression in Vineland. I really knew nothing about the Palace of Depression, but I thought it was a very interesting story. And I asked my friend Sterling, who's a writer, what can you do with this, Sterling? So he did this really cool article about it, and I really enjoyed that. Well, fast forward years later, and we heard that the palace had been rebuilt and that they were still working on it, but it was looking good, and it was fun to visit. And I went there one Halloween and had a great time. So about 2 years ago, we said, let's do a story on the Palace of Depression. Let's do a documentary. But it was a very short film. It's like 10 minutes. And we decided to tell the story from the angle of George Dehner, the guy who built the Palace of Depression in the 1930s. So this is that documentary. Enjoy.
Some people possess a palace of the mind, a place where cherished dreams rule, which they're willing to share. Because what good is a palace occupied only by you? It might become depressing. That's why I created the Palace of Depression, back during the financial depression of nearly 100 years ago. It stands at the edge of Vineland, New Jersey, where it fell to ruin and is being rebuilt. My reconstructed monument to hope, my belief in not just tomorrow, but in next year and the next. When the doors again open, people will see that my palace is not merely tons of bricks and mortar or the echoes of swinging picks and shovels, but also an idea, the understanding that belief is what makes people strong, not disbelief, not despair. It's what permits you to look at a thing and think, I can make it better, or it's something that seems worthless and make it worthwhile. That's what the Palace of Depression is. The idea that if George Dehner built it, you can build a palace too, of words or of kindness or whatever you desire, which you can share with those seeking shelter before they build their own.
Another morning again, I'm alone.
I say I'm George Dehner. Well, George has been dead for decades, so let's say I'm who he was. Some insist I was really Charlie Dehner, a builder from Upper Darby, PA, but we'll go by what I say, starting with me joining the Klondike Gold Rush to Alaska in 1897, where with other hopefuls I endured the brutal frozen north. Unlike most of my fellow miners, I struck it rich. There was gold in them thar hills, and eventually in my hands. I, George Dehner, wasn't just a maintainer. I was always a gainer, never looking back at what I'd seen. Up ahead, that's what attracted me. So I took my Klondike gold, bought stocks, and got richer. I owned a mansion, a yacht, a chauffeur-driven motor car, and an Alaskan nugget big as my thumb, hanging from my watch chain. But my most valuable possession was none of that. No one was saner than old George Dehner, plus I had something gold can't buy, imagination. And I had the strength of will to use it for the greater good of man and woman, and for myself, because why not? Sometimes what seems like a catastrophe can be a blessing. Hard as it may seem to fit the financial collapse of 1929 into that outlook, that's what it was for me. The stock market dropped and my fortune fell with it. Mansion, yacht, all of it gone. except for that gold nugget on my watch chain. Selling it brought enough cash to buy a Model T truck and enough gasoline to drive down to rural South Jersey, where for $1 each I bought 7 acres of vine-choked vineland real estate. Thorn bushes, poison ivy, sumac, and sand. There was no gold in them thar hills. There wasn't even hills. Being so often photographed as I was in the years to come, you must have seen me. Long dark hair, heavy beard, my eyes burning with determination, my hands half clenched as if about to mix the mortar for the bricks and stone I planned to lay, because I had a vision. A spirit came to me, an angel if you will, and said, "George, I got a project for you. The people everywhere, they're down. They lost their money, their hopes and dreams, their livelihood, and dark days are upon them. This here's the Depression, George Daner, and it's your job to bring folks up. Give them hope and entertainment, raise their minds from the depths of despair." It was like Noah receiving a voice from on high. Build an edifice, George, ornamented to catch the people's eye, of bricks and boulders and bottles and whatever you find along the road, what's done been thrown away. The unwanted stuff like the folks themselves, the stuff that's down. And this thing you'll build, this structure of masonry and trash, will give people what they need, more than money or handouts or the lies that get thrown at them every day. From the economic depression will come a palace of depression that will signify the opposite of its name. Nothing depressed about it or sorrowful or blue. No, yours will be a palace of the enduring human spirit, the spirit of things getting better, if we just give it time. So I listened and got busy, dug footings, trenches, mixed mortar with sand from my nearby stream, and started laying bricks. I let that precious possession of mine frolic out there in the Vineland woods, let it romp and have its way, my imagination, and thus the palace grew. 3 years I kept at it, night and day, without rest, without self-doubt, and often without much money. But I got her done, my palace, my fortress, my testament to what a man can do when he gets the call. On Christmas Day, 1932, my task was complete. The greatest piece of originality in the history of man, my palace of depression, opened its gate to the world, and the world came busting in for 25 cents per ticket. Didn't folks love to take my picture dressed like the man of mystery I was, in a top hat and tails, my beard brushed and perfumed? I led them on tours past spires and through a labyrinth of tunnels into the devil's dungeon, and along catwalks up into the turrets looking out over the desolate forest where at night the howls of the Jersey Devil rang through the air. And the folks, they saw what I'd done was against the odds, against the prevailing times, against the depression of finance and spirit that had taken over, the poverty of mind that had latched hold. I showed it didn't have to be that way. All you had to do was say never to the great no that was oppressing everyone. And once you said it, get to work. And wasn't I proud? Those were good years through the Depression and into the Second War and on into the 1950s. But then, oh my, life was picking up by then. Good times were returning, and folks found new recreations. My palace stopped being a big draw. Tickets went unsold, which nothing I did could change. Truth is, I wasn't getting my picture took much anymore. I learned to accept that and the idea that people no longer needed my palace to give them hope. But it had been there when they needed it, and for that I was satisfied. Soon after, in 1964, I shuffled off this mortal coil. Some said at the age of 104. I had outlived almost all of Alaska's gold seekers, the fortune hunters, the winners and losers of the wild Klondike that is the great terrain of life. I nearly outlived the palace itself, because 2 years later its wooden structure burned down. Afterwards, the authorities leveled to the ground what remained. There it lay until 1998, when the late Kevin Kirchner, Vineland's building inspector, convinced the city not to sell the land for housing. With faded photographs and dusty memories, perseverance and donated dollars, plus the help of volunteers like artist Jeffrey Tarante, and later under the direction of Kevin's late son Christian, they reconstructed the walls, the tunnels, the dungeons, the very spirit of the palace, and the sense that what has fallen can rise. So the palace has risen, though work remains for the Restoration Society led by Steve Medio. Eventually the public will explore, delight, thrill to this resurrection of what I willed myself to do. People needed a lift, and I made it happen. There was a depression on the land, and in defiance, I built a palace. George Dehner's Palace of Depression. Palace of optimism and of hope.
For decades, our dad has been a steady, trusted voice here at Mintz Insurance, helping neighbors, not just clients, protect what matters most.
As Dad steps into retirement, one thing stays the same: our commitment to this community.
We're proud to be independent, rooted right here in Millville. No call centers, no runaround, just real people ready to help, just like Dad always did.
Mintz Insurance, built on trust, proud of our past, and ready for what's next.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves at making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great healthcare for everyone.
It's New Life's 40th anniversary celebration. Join Pastor Helen and our guest speaker, Apostle Michael Pangio. It happens on March 22nd at 11 a.m.
Hi, welcome back, and thanks for joining us this evening. Just a note that we are working on a new documentary, and it is again based on a Millville organization. We're doing a documentary about CU Morris River, Citizens United for the Preservation of the Morris River, and we expect it to be another really good documentary. It'll premiere at the Cut Film Festival on September 18th. So please join us on September 18th for the premiere of the CU Morris River documentary. This has been Artsy. I'm Bill Horin. Thanks for watching.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC, programming that serves the South Jersey market.